Hello, my name is Ubaldo Acosta. Welcome again. I hope you're ready to start this week's lesson. We will study the concept of variables in Java. This is the basis for the management of information when creating our programs in Java. Are you ready? Let's begin. Variables in Java. In Java, as in any programming language, to store information it's necessary to create variables, which will allow us to store data from our program temporarily. The objective of declaring a variable is to reserve memory space depending on the type that we are going to use. These variables also allow us to make dynamic programs, so in most cases the values will change during the interaction with the user and the program. For example, as we can see in the figure, we have data, which can be changing throughout the execution of our program. In Java, there are different types of data, so we will study in more detail the types of data and therefore the types of variables that we need to create to store a specific type of data. So let's continue. Types in Java. We have primitive types and referent types, object types, and in primitive types we have int types and float types, and in referent types we have classes, interfaces, and arrays. There is a wide classification regarding the types that are handled in Java. However, we can summarize it in the figure shown. In one hand we have primitive types, and on the other hand we have the types that are considered as extensions of the object class, also known as reference to objects. Regarding the primitive types, we can classify them in integer and floating types. However, we also have the Boolean type. Each of these types, we will see them in more details below. On the other side, we have the types object, which can be classes, interfaces, or arrays in Java. We will study these types in the topic of classes and objects in Java. So for now, we will focus on primitive types and how to declare them and use this type of data in Java. We have primitive data types in Java and are classified as integer types and float types. And we have the next integer types, byte, which has 8 bits, short, which occupies 16 bits, char, which occupies 16 bits too, int, which has 32 bits, long, which has 64 bits, and in float types we have the float type, which has 32 bits, and double, which has 64 bits. The Boolean type in Java is also a primitive type and can store only the value of true or false. Its default value is false. Let's see the default values for every data type. The default value for byte is 0, for short is 0, for char is the 0 but in Unicode, for int is 0, for long is 0, for float is 0.0, and for double is 0.0. As we discussed earlier, we have different types of data in Java. In total, there are 8. These types of Java are the most basic, and are those that we will use if we need the fastest and most resource saving, with the aim of making our algorithms as efficient as possible. However, in practice, we will also use already created functions that can make indirect use of these primitive types. So in any case, we will be managing them in our programs, either directly or indirectly. Each of these primitive types has a default value, which is important to know since when we use them together with our Java classes, the compiler will take into account this value by default, according to the type of data we use. In the figure, we can see both the number of bits that each data occupies as well as the default values that are assigned to each type when they are used as attributes for our classes in Java. Later, we will create several exercises to put into practice the use of primitive types in Java.